In the third video in my series on developing and using altered states of consciousness, I mentioned the key role played by the way you breathe. And I explained that by changing the way you breathe, you can actually increase your ability to produce and sustain alpha rhythms, these very calming rhythms in the brain. Now, since I posted that, I've had several emails from people who tell me their ability to breathe smoothly and easily and deeply is currently impaired by the fact they have very dry noses or suffer recurrent and painful episodes of sinusitis. So I thought it would be useful to suggest in this video some practical ways to ensure that the 150 square centimeters of mucous membrane, the membrane that lines your nasal passage and indeed other organs of the body, but the particular ones in the nasal passage, that they remain moist particularly over this coming winter in the northern hemisphere. You see, moist nasal mucosa determines to a very great extent not only how effectively you're able to breathe, but actually how well you feel in yourself. When the cells lining your nose start to dry up, when they start to become excessively dry, that is, you're more likely to experience discomfort, possible nosebleeds even, headaches, aches and pains, particularly your nasal passages around your cheeks. There is even suggestion in some academic papers published recently, some medical papers I've been reading, that very dry atmosphere may actually enhance the risk of catching the COVID-19 virus. Now, if you have persistent dry nose, if it lasts for about 10 days or so, I would certainly advise you to go and seek medical advice. Most times, however, there are several simple ways to ensure your nasal mucosa remains moist and therefore better able to trap all the muck and the bacteria and the viruses which are circulating in the air around you. These practical steps involve, for example, drinking more water, taking a warm bath perhaps particularly at the start or end of each day, placing a humidifier or even a kettle of boiling water in your room to increase the level of moisture in the air. As I was saying, this becomes especially important as, in the northern hemisphere at least, we start to turn on our central heating, keep our bedroom windows closed, and stay in what are usually quite dry surroundings. This is particularly true at night when you're asleep and you can't drink the water needed to keep the nasal mucosa moister. Now, some 10 years ago, I created a series of training workshops called bout, B-O-T-A-U, and this stands for Breath Optimized Transformational Unblocking. And you can find more details of this particular series of workshops on our website. Now, in these workshops, I described how, by changing the way you breathe, you'll find it easier to relax more quickly and easily, to develop stronger and more sustained alpha rhythms, as I was saying, and to boost your energy levels, particularly when you're mentally fatigued after, say, working on some computer work or data analysis for some time. I find that proper breathing will help you increase your ability to concentrate and think more clearly. Among those I interviewed when making this video was a remarkable Welsh Yoga teacher named Danielle Bryant. We discussed on the video the role of the ancient nasal passage moisturizer technique called Yala Neti. This uses a saline solution poured into and out of the nose using a little pot like this, which is a little Yala Neti pot. and this will help to clean and moisturize your nose, your mucosa, your nose, nasal passages. Now, whilst this may strike you as something which would be extremely unpleasant and uncomfortable to do, particularly if, for example, you've been swimming and you've inadvertently sucked in some sea water into your nose, you know how uncomfortable it is. In fact, in practice, you'll find it both refreshing and even liberating. So, without more ado, let me take you into my consulting room as I discuss Yala Neti with Daniela before asking her to demonstrate with a client exactly what is involved in the process.
Danielle, welcome. Nice to see you. Now, we've got on the table in front of us some of the technical equipment which you'll need to use Yala Neti. But tell me a little bit about this. What is the history of Yala Neti?
Okay, originally in Hatha Yoga, people used to use neti pots, which we have there, to keep their noses clean, just so they could sit longer in meditation and not be affected by congestion or anything. You know, it would help them to breathe more freely.
To distract them. Now, you've used Yala Neti, as I said in my introduction to you, for some while. Have you found health benefits from it?
Yes, I have. Yes, it's amazing when you first do it. You don't think you're congested, but the feeling that you, once you first do it, you know, it's really light in your head. So it's a kind of a liberating experience, is it? Yeah.
Is it? Now, what is medical opinion? Now, have you talked to doctors about Yala Neti? Because I think a lot of people who are watching this may feel, well, it sounds an odd thing to do if they haven't experienced it before.
Yes, there are a couple of doctors in the USA who have devised systems, modern nasal wash systems, which are based on the ancient practice. And I'm in constant contact with them. They keep me updated on research and new findings, new benefits that they've discovered. So I've got regular contact there. There's also some UK doctors, ENT surgeons that I've spoken to, and also a local cystic fibrosis unit who buy neti pots for their patients.
So it is being gradually accepted by kind of conventional medicine rather than sort of alternative.
Yes, it is starting
therapies.
To be. Yes.
And do you think it's on the increase? Do you think more people are actually beginning to realise how important this kind of nasal washing is and how easy it is to do indeed?
Yes, certainly, yes. There's a lot more people who are off their own back approaching me for neti pots, you know, instead of resorting to prescribed drugs.
Now, I know you're going to give us a demonstration how everybody can do it. Well, now, on the table in front of us, we've got a lot of the equipment, examples of different neti pots.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I see that some of them, for example, this one is in plastic.
Yeah.
Whereas this one over here is China.
Yeah.
And this one obviously is metal. So what is the difference? Why should you have different kind of materials?
It's just personal preference, really. It depends if you break things easy, or if you do a lot of travelling, then maybe a plastic one would be better.
Just a question of being able to carry it around. And now this is quite rather a large pot.
Yes.
In stainless steel, is that a benefit to have a stainless steel pot?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, again, it's unbreakable, but it's a lot larger. So people who are maybe slightly more advanced would go for the larger style pot.
So you
put
the fluid in there, and it comes out here. And I guess that is shaped to go around the nostril.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so now that's fine, but these seem to be quite significantly different, because this is obviously some kind of bottle which you could squeeze. Now, is that you actually force the water in under pressure then, do you? Or?
Yes, these are the ones that are devised by the doctors in the USA. These different ones.
And this is a small one for a child.
For a child, yes. They basically work on the principle of exerting a little bit of pressure, so they can be handier if you've got maybe a stiff neck and you can't bend your neck to use the neti pot, and also if you're maybe very congested, it can just help to apply a little bit of pressure.
So it's really, you choose the pot which suits your needs in terms of travelling and your also personal preference.
That's right, yeah.
Fluid
I mean, you could even own the two different types, one for if you do get a cold or something, and another then for daily use, you know.
All right, so that's the actual hardware, as it were. Now let's look at First of all, let's just deal with the water. Now, do you have to have special water, distilled water or anything like that? Because that could be a problem for some people to keep a sort of supply of water, especially for,
that's
for
right.
nasal washing.
I mean, generally, it's better to do it than not. So as long as you've got clean water, then tap water is fine. And the temperature as well as personal preference. Usually, body temperature works out best for most people.
So would you just run hot water and cold water and make the mix till it's kind of felt comfortable?
Yeah, that's right.
But it's not. You wouldn't need to put a thermometer in it.
No,
just so it
in,
feels comfortable. All right. So that's the water. That's the pot. Now let's have a look at the salt. Now I see you've got some examples of different kinds of salts here.
Yeah.
Let's just have a look at these and see what these are. Now this is seems rather exotic. This is Himalayan salt. And what kind of salt is that?
It's just rock salt. It's a pure. It's had nothing added to it. It's just basically rock salt.
So that's kind of rock salt, and this is Neti salt. Is that the same type of salt?
It's basically pure dried vacuum salt. It's salt that's available in the UK. So it works out slightly cheaper because it doesn't have to be imported.
Right.
It's got a very tiny amount of anti-caking agents, which is at a safe level for use.
I'll come on to caking agents, anti-caking agents. And this is just Neti sea salt. So this is just
that's
pure
traditionally used,
which ones do you use?
It depends. It's just whichever one's available to me at the time, really. I mean, I don't have a preference.
You wouldn't be able to just use cooking salt?
No.
And why is that?
There's anti-caking agents and sometimes, free-flowing agents are more in table salt, but these chemicals, it's undecided whether they can actually cause damage and a long-term use because the inside of the nose is very delicate.
Indeed.
It's safer to steer clear of them.
And finally, we've got some of these little salts in these little packages here. And what's the difference between, kind of buying in bulk and buying in these small amounts? Well,
basically, the pre-measured sachets are just really handy, especially if you don't want to measure out salt and things. You can just use a sachet per neti pot, and it's just really convenient. They've also got sodium bicarbonate in, which can make it a bit more comfortable, especially when you're starting off. And it helps the salt to dissolve a bit better as well. And also it's apparently supposed to have a moisturising effect on the inside of your nose.
And finally, this is the last little thing we've got on our table now. What is this?
This is something that's been devised by the Himalayan Institute. It's just a combination of essential oils and a blend of essential oils that have been known to benefit the health of the nasal passages and sinuses.
So some people would use those?
That's right, yeah.
Is the technique difficult to learn?
No, it's not. It's really easy.
And is it safe to use? I mean, even when you're a beginner and you're not sure what you're doing?
Yes, it's completely safe, yeah. Right. When you first start off, there may be a little bit of water going down the back of your throat. You just need to adjust your head position. It's a hard thing to actually teach because it depends on the individual. You know, so it's sort of a little bit of trial and error at the beginning. But you're going to give us a demonstration of how to do it in a minute. Fine. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I'll let you go and prepare for your demonstration, and thank you very much indeed.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start off by mixing up the salt solution for Yala Neti. I'm using 1/4 teaspoon measuring spoon, and I'm using sea salt, which is traditionally used in yoga. The solution I'm using is called an isotonic solution, which means it's the same level of saltiness that's in your body naturally. If you use any less salt, it will be very uncomfortable and it can actually cause long-term damage. So it's better to use this amount of salt. It's actually been researched recently that a hypertonic solution is more beneficial, which means a saltier solution than that found in the body. So you could use up to 3/4 teaspoon in this neti pot if you wanted to. So I'm using lukewarm water. It's about body temperature. I'll just give it a little stir. I stir it with my finger so I can feel that it's dissolved, and also testing the water temperature. Okay, I'm just going to put my head into position now. The position of your head will depend very much on the individual, and there's no right or wrong, so you need to trial and error this a little bit. You just place the neti pot into your upper nostril
and just let it run out slowly. And while you're doing this, just relax and breathe through your mouth. When you finish then, you just need to empty each nostril in turn. Just do it gently at first. And then a little more. And then a little more. Okay, once you've completed both sides, there's a further drying process that needs to be completed now. First of all, I'm going to drain all my sinuses. So for this, I need to hang my head upside down. So do this however you feel comfortable, but I'll just show you how I do it. Okay, you need to do that for about 30 seconds. And you will probably feel that you need to blow your nose again. Now the final part of the drying process, what I'm going to do is I'm going to breathe in and out rapidly 10 times to sort of blow dry the inside of my nostrils. If you try and get this breath coming from your tummy, that will give it a bit more force. You can repeat that if you want to, but that usually is enough. I'll just go through some of the problems that you may experience when you perform Yala Neti for the first time. One of the problems may be that the water will go down your throat. If this happens, what I tend to find helps is if you tilt your head sideways like this and push your forehead into the sink, into the basin, and look up at the ceiling, and that usually gets a good flow of the water. You can then, once it's flowing, then you can bring your head up to a more comfortable position. The other problem that some people, very rarely, but you know, it needs to be mentioned, is sometimes your ears may pop, and sometimes this may be quite uncomfortable. This is very rarely, it's happened to me once in 10 years, so it's very rare. But if this does happen, it's nothing to worry about. It's actually due to the involuntary opening and closing of the eustachian tubes, and sometimes a little bit of water may get in there. But it's nothing to worry about, as I say. You just need to wait for your body's warmth to evaporate the water, so it'll soon pass. It's best to perform Yala Neti every day. Try and incorporate it with your daily routine, such as cleaning your teeth. You clean your teeth, you wash your nose. A lot of people find it beneficial to do it in the morning as they rise, as it clears them from the night. And then in the evening, then before they go to bed. This helps greatly if you snore. It helps to reduce the snoring. However, if you find this a little too much to do, then just do it a few times a week. It's better to do it sometimes than not at all. If you are becoming lightheaded after you practice Yala Neti, then this could be due to one of three reasons. The first reason could be because you are affecting your ears when you wash your nose, because the ear, nose and throat are all connected. Then it could just throw you out of balance a little bit. The other reason is a lot of people, when they practice Yala Neti, afterwards they can't believe how clear they feel, so they take a deep breath. So you might have just had a little rush of oxygen to your head. Also, after the dry-in sequence, you may have just got up a bit too quickly, so just sit down until it passes. There's nothing to worry about.
Well, I hope you found what Danielle had to say interesting. If you'd like to learn more about my bout breathing workshops, you'll find full details and a preview of each of the workshops on www.themindchangers.co.uk. This training course consists of 2 dog-playing DVDs and a copy of my paperback book, Breathe Easy. This is available off the YouTube site for just £12.99, inclusive of postage in the UK. You'll see from the website it's normally priced at £24.99. I can also offer you a download of all the workshops, which can be sent anywhere in the world. All 8 workshops are on this download. There's no book, however, but you can purchase this if you're interested for just £5.99. If you're interested in a download, do please email me, david@themindchangers.co.uk, and again I'll repeat my contact details at the end of this video. In the next and final video in this series, I'm going to be discussing lucid dreams. Now, these are dreams where we are aware that we're actually dreaming, and because we know we're dreaming, we're able to exercise a certain amount of control over what happens in that dream. So, for example, if you're having a flying lucid dream, you can decide whether you want to swoop down to the ground or soar up into the clouds. Lucid dreams are an altered state of consciousness which one can, with training and practice, enter into on any night of the week, and by doing so you can explore the fascinating and strange world of our inner consciousness, our subconsciousness. Until now, I hope you found what I had to say in this video of interest. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be looking forward to talking to you again on my next video, which will be, as I say, about lucid dreams.